Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Beauty Not Boundaries. I am your host, Felice. Beauty Not Boundaries is where everyday women navigating real life come together to share our authentic experiences without boundaries. We do this in hopes of inspiring each other and helping each other grow. So welcome. In addition to listening here, please be sure to follow us on IG at Beauty Not Boundaries. Today, we are continuing our discussion with Ms. Carolyn Hardy on getting honest about what it takes to be a transformational leader and successful entrepreneur. Ms. Hardy has a fantastic, fabulous, all of that, I'm a boss background in finance, operations, and human resources. She is a successful entrepreneur, visionary, and leader. She has turned around several companies and run her own company, Hardy Bottling Company, which she sold some years back for about $30 million. She continues her entrepreneurial endeavors to date and is here schooling us on what we need to do to be successful and to pave our own way, whether it's within an organization we work for or out on our own. So welcome back, Ms. Hardy.
Thank you, Felice. Good to see you again.
All right. So the last time we left off, you had dropped some real jewels. Like, let me just recap for everybody. Run to win. Run the race to win. You don't want to come in 5th and 6th place. You want gold, silver, or bronze, meaning play to win in whatever you do, whether it's work or your own business. You said position yourself so that if things aren't going your way, if that organization keeps passing you up for promotion, right, can't respect you, right, can't invest in you, position yourself so that you can walk away when you need to. You said take all the courses that you can while you're with the company. Continue your education to learn. Continue training. You said maintain your integrity. Mean what you say, right? You said go out on top. And by that, you told us that means don't be petty, maintain your dignity, don't let others take your happiness, and know when your time is up. And that's where we left off. Know when your time is up. Can we talk about that, Ms. Hardy?
Yes. So just picking up from there and knowing when your time's up. In business, a lot of times, I'm going to switch over to business, knowing when your time's up. One of the challenges that entrepreneurs have is that they don't know when their business cycle is up. Blacks will start a business and do an amazing job, but they don't know that the business is turning, that opportunity is turning, okay? So knowing when your time's up, it applies to a lot of things. Give you an example. I always use the example when I'm talking to small businesses. When the pager was out there, I know you're too young to think about that.
Those big giant things, everybody used to wear on their pockets.
Right. It's amazing. The only time we started a pager company when the pagers was out. All of a sudden, pagers was no longer in. They started selling black people to pager companies. They did. And I had entrepreneurs, black entrepreneurs, investing their money in pager company, and the cell phone was coming out. We have to be ahead of the curve, not behind the curve. Know when the time's up. So if we get into a business ahead of the curve, and then we work it up until maturity, we need to get out. Get out.
Get out.
Get out. And so
Mm-hmm.
I
Can
owned
we
a,
talk about that?
yeah,
Can
let's
we
talk
talk
about
about that? Because there are stories about
it. Mhm.
Blockbuster versus Netflix.
That's exactly. They did not reinvent themselves. I want to give you an example. We were one of the businesses that I own. We developed container depots. You
Mm-hmm.
know those piggyback trucks that's on the back of trains.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yes.
when they get into the city, they have to live somewhere. They
Mm-hmm.
park them. Well, we
Mm-hmm.
developed all the parking in Memphis for them.
Mm.
So we were next to all the major railroads. My daughter and I developed them starting in, I opened my first one in 2006, continued developing them after I sold the brewery. And so we developed one close to every major railroad here in Memphis. Well, we noticed that the major VCs started building them 2 years ago. I'm talking about big ones for these big ones. We sold all ours last year. Now the capacity is too much. What that
Wow.
means is that at this point in time, my business would be worth 50% of what it was last year when I sold
Mm.
it.
Yeah.
We sold it right on time. A lot of times you've got to really watch your industry to know when it's time, when to get in, when to get out.
Mm.
We don't understand that's an important part of entrepreneurship.
Mm.
It's not just driving it to success, but you drive it to success and drive it to sell.
Mm.
Understand every business that you start, you should design to sell it.
Mm.
That is your
Mm.
goal. Your goal is not to keep it. Everybody said, "Well, aren't you going to give it to the next generation?" Well, by the next generation, that concept won't be in vogue anymore. That opportunity will have passed. What
Mm.
you want to pass to the next generation is wealth.
Yeah.
Passing
Yes.
mutual fund. I've never heard anybody turn down a mutual fund. Have you?
No, ma'am. Well, not people who know, at least. I mean,
You
you
know what
got
they
folks,
say, right?
company is offering a 401k and they haven't
Right,
signed up.
right. That is crazy. Let me tell you something. I have had when I was HR, when I was human resource, black people would come to me and say, "Well, my bank says I shouldn't invest in my 401k. I should put the money in a passbook." I said, "Wait a minute, time out." I said, "Smuckers is offering you for every dollar you put in, they're going to give you 50 cents on the first day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you put in $1, Smuckers puts in 50 cents. And some companies now, you put in $1, they put in $1.
Yes, ma'am.
What bank can you put your money in a savings account? They're going to instantly give you 50 cents or $1.
None.
None, none. And so I used to have to counsel black people on to your point about why they should be in 401k. Why? I will tell you, when I left Smuckers, there were more black people with money in 401k. So they had a net worth that they never had before because they learned how to take advantage of 401ks and ESOPs, things that we don't value. We don't value ESOP, which is employee stock ownership plans,
Mm-hmm.
because we can't spend it right now.
Mm.
But isn't
Mm.
it all one day to retire?
Okay, I hear another jewel coming out.
And
The
then
long game. It's
the
about the
long
long
game,
game.
the long game. And if you don't retire, that ESOP goes to your heirs. What's wrong with that? The reason we can't keep every black generation, next generation, they can't start off with zero.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the white generation is not starting off with zero. They're
Mm-hmm.
passing wealth to the next generation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
ESOPs and 401k builds wealth for our next generation.
Yes.
The
Yes.
long game, Felice. The long game.
The long game, but no, and I'm not saying this is everybody because it's
I
not.
know I'm not saying
But
so,
there, it's some
but too
of
many.
us. We want the new YSL bag. We're gonna pay $3,000 for that.
We want the latest car.
We want the latest car.
Felice, they used to laugh at me when I was at Coors. I drove a conversion van because I had 3 kids, okay? And I would go to a board meeting or town hall meeting with my managers, and they would say, "Carol, Miss Hardy, this supervisor got a better car than you have. This one got a better car than you have." Then when I bought the Coors Brewery, they said, "How'd you do that?" I said, "Well, I didn't have a better car than you."
That's right.
My money was in the bank, okay? Yours is in the car. And, and so they started
Yes.
thinking about it. They said, "Oh my God, we never thought about that." I said, "See, I put every month, I put my money in a mutual fund. I wouldn't invest it. I didn't invest my
Yes.
money in a car. I didn't invest my money in a $3,000 bag. Okay."
Right.
I said,
Right.
because of that, because I saved money for the last 30 years, I can go make a down payment on this business.
Yes. Yes. I'm with you. I'm with you. Okay. So let's dive into what is an entrepreneur. Do you think we fully understand, everybody really understands what an entrepreneur is.
An entrepreneur is a person who takes risk. They see opportunity when everyone else sees work. I tend to see opportunity. So I'm constantly actively listening, and I'm thinking very future. You said the word earlier, futuristic. Okay. Well, ideally, I'm always looking for that next idea. How do I build a better mousetrap? What area am I not competing in? But then how can I compete? What does it take to compete?
So
That's what
you
the
said an entrepreneur is one that takes risks.
takes risk.
Is it, what do you do? Just sit back and think of companies that you could create? Like,
Well, I'm out there with my daughter thinking of new ideas and we're brainstorming everything. And so I came with a new product. It's called Rally.
hmm,
Dogs hate peels. Am I right? You hear people say they got to put the peel in the peanut butter. They got to
yeah.
hide it on the food. Well,
Uh,
we put their vitamins in what we call vitamin water for pets.
oh, okay.
So
I love it.
we have two flavors. We have original and peanut butter. So we
Okay, can you say that name again? Say that name
the
again.
name of the brand is Rally.
Okay.
You know how
And where
cute
can we
it is?
get it?
You can only get it online right now.
Okay.
Hopefully by the first of next year, hopefully these big retailers will pick me up. Okay.
Okay. So
But
online, you mean Amazon?
no, online at findrally.com.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
Or you can find it at hardybeverages.com.
Thank you,
Either one.
ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
But you say, how do you come up with a new idea? You sit around, you brainstorm, you find a problem. You got to find a problem that has not been solved. A problem that has not been solved. So nobody solved the problem of how to get that dog or that cat to take that pill. Nobody solved that. They try to fold it in the peanut butter and try to do some of everything. We put together a beverage that tastes good with ingredients you can sort of mask the peel smell and flavor. And so you can create this unusual product. And so we have two flavors, original and peanut butter, and we're going to be rolling out chicken. And we can do other things. But now let's go back to being an entrepreneur. So I made this capital investment to support my original brand, H2. H2 is hydrogen infused water. It reduces joint inflammation. So if you work out really hard and your muscles are tired, you need H2. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you got to make all this capital investment for your beverage. You have to ask yourself the question: if I'm going to invest millions, how do I leverage that? So I've got to find a problem to solve. A lot of people see problems as problems. I see problems as opportunities.
Ah, find a problem to solve.
Find the
Change your
problem,
vision.
change your
See
vision.
problems as opportunities.
See problems, Felice, as opportunities.
Now,
You,
and that's true not just for I want to start my own business. That's where you are right now, ladies and
yeah,
gentlemen.
yeah,
If you're in a company, whatever, personal issues, see problems as an opportunity
opportunity.
to
That's
do
right.
better,
That's
to
right.
create better. So,
Right.
can we talk about, well, then, what does it take to be a CEO?
You know, you've got to be confident in your ability. You've got to be a great leader. And because a lot of people see leaders as leading your organization. But in order to build a successful company, you've got to have a relationship in a leadership capacity that's outside of your organization.
Hmm.
And so, in order for me to grow a business, expand a business, I don't want to go out and buy all the resources that I need. You don't want to do that, okay? You want to actually use your network. If you have to go out and buy all the resources, whether that's human capital or whatever, you're going to expend a lot of money that you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I need to talk about a pump. I didn't want to go call a technician, charge me $400 an hour to talk about a pump. And my operations manager, he's told me all about it and so on. I said, I need to talk to some other people. Let's look at this in a different way. I called some relationships that I have, experts in this field, talk to my people, and guess what it cost me?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Just good
Okay.
relations.
Good relationships. Okay. And so when you're an entrepreneur, you've got to have a wealth of contacts. You've got to. I would really advise that you join boards so you can build that network up. Find these nonprofits. Find out who's on those boards. Are there people on those boards that you want to get close to?
Mm-hmm.
Be intentional. We use that word all the time. We need people to
Mm-hmm.
be intentional about doing business with minority business. I tell minorities all the time, y'all need to be intentional. Okay? We have to be intentional. Go
Mm-hmm.
out, look at what you want and go get it. Sometimes going
Okay.
means joining a board. And that board will help you build a relationship with somebody otherwise that you would never have an opportunity to meet. Build
And
that
it
network. And then let me say one more thing. I'll say credit. Get your credit up. Okay. And please, I want to mention another book called Step Out, Bold Move for Business Growth by Carolyn Hardy.
oh, I love it.
Yeah, Step Out. If you
Okay.
want to grow your business, it talks about everything that you need to know to grow your business, whether legal counsel, um, how to get a mentor. Mentors
Okay,
are
let's talk about that. Because
yes,
a
ma'am.
lot of people, especially once you get to a certain level, because, we're talking to people on this show who are, pretty good. They're high enough on the food chain in their organization. And some folks tend to believe that you get to a certain level and maybe it's harder to get mentorship.
No, it's not. It becomes harder for you to listen to other people's advice. Is what
Mm,
I see. Okay, you don't take advice very well. Um, in my business, I'm constantly looking for people who know more than I know about a topic. The sales guys, I consider myself an amazing salesperson. But I will tell you, the brokers and the salespeople that I work with, they're absolutely amazing
hmm
because they're specialists in their field. And guess what? I don't need to be them. I need to be the best me I can be, right? See, a great leader,
Absolutely.
you said, what does it take to be a CEO? A CEO, your primary job is to help those around you be the best versions of themselves as possible. The CEO's job is to help their people, their team, whether that team is internal or external, be the best version of themselves.
That's key. And, I was having this discussion with someone else, and the question came up as to whether or not a CEO has to know all the answers to everything. And
No.
that's what I think. No, you just need to know who to hire to give you the answer.
Well, you started out and you introduced me as a general manager.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
General, like I said, the first word I said was general, right?
Mm-hmm.
A good CEO and a good GM is a generalist. What that
Mm-hmm.
means is that we know a little bit about a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We may know a lot about one topic, okay, but we know a little, enough to engage with you. I can talk about a pump, but I'm never going to take that pump apart. Okay. I'm never going to touch it, to be honest with you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I have to know the purpose of the pump.
Yes.
I have to know the purpose of a forklift. Am I
Mm-hmm.
right? I have to
Mm-hmm.
know why. Why would I use a 40-foot uh, a dry van versus a 45-foot? Now, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
I know that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But I can't drive the tractor, okay? So
Right.
I'm not going to be an expert in it. I don't know how to load it. So
Right.
I don't need to be an expert on everything, but I do need to know everybody that's in their A game. I need to know. I need to have A game players on my team. If I got an A CFO, and I'm a CPA, I need an A CFO because I'm not the CFO. Okay, I need an
Yes.
I need an A plant manager. I'm not the plant manager. I need
Yes.
salespeople because sales is a broad word, okay? And so sales has different channels. Am I
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to have experts in sales on different channels.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to be an expert on every channel.
Yes.
And to launch a beverage, I've got to be willing to listen to veterinarians for rally. I got
Yes.
to be willing to listen to nutritionists for H2.
Yes.
Okay. I've got to be willing to listen to different people. But I got to be able to find, as a generalist, I've got to find the person in their A game. That is my job.
Excellent. Excellent. I wholeheartedly agree. So, I, we're in this era where I see two things happening. Everything is get rich quick. And put out a TikTok video and, gonna make $10 million in
Mhm.
2 months. And you see that the internet is flooded with that.
Right.
I want to get your thoughts on that. And I also want to get your thoughts on sort of this. What I'm seeing more and more of is if you are beyond 30 years old, then your time is up. That you can't possibly become a successful entrepreneur or transformational leader or, make your millions, because that space is going to the young people. When I say young people, I mean young millennials and Gen Zers, who are in the STEM fields. But
Mhm.
you haven't talked. I mean, you just with your the Vita water for the pets, for the dogs. You talked. That includes some STEM, but your earlier things didn't include STEM.
Include no, right, none. Let me tell you something. Let's answer both of your questions. Let's first start about get rich quick. Okay, entrepreneurship and building wealth, uh, it's a journey. You and I said that earlier. And what I mean it's a journey is when you start a business, you're going to lose money for a couple of years. You are, okay? And if you're really good at it and you're analyzing your market and you know where you're trying to go, at the end of the 2 years, you're finally getting in the black. And then you got to understand what is scaling. Remember I said bold moves for business growth?
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand what scaling means.
Mm-hmm. So help us understand what scale means, because we're all watching
Yeah.
Shark Tank reruns, and they talk about scaling the business. Help us understand that, Miss Hardy.
Well, scale means that if you're only in Tennessee, you want to be in 50 states. That's one degree of scaling, and then the second degree you want to go international. So you take a company like mine. When you take any company, if you're only in Tennessee, now you want to be in 50 states. Let's say your business costing you $200,000 a year. Now you want to be in 50 states. Now your cost is 50 times 200,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
if you're struggling with 200,000, imagine now you need 50 times 200,000. Then don't go international because international, and some of my packaging is made overseas. So I carry a 6-month inventory on packaging. So even though I don't need packaging in my warehouse right now, I still have packaging being built and actually coming this way, because when things ramp up, if I don't make good business decisions about my supply chain, my costs will go through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So scaling, you really have to understand your cost model. But then scaling also means you got to hire, your CFO needs 2 more accountants. Your customer service department needs 10 more people. Your warehouse needs another 10 people. So when you scale, when sales go up, your operation cost goes up as well. And to a point, it is linear. And of course, you want it to not be linear. You don't want every dollar you make another dollar spent. Okay. Your goal at a certain level is that for every dollar you make, only 20 cents is spent. Then the next dollar you make, only 10 cents spent. That's when you start making money. Okay. And so scaling requires a lot more than people know. It requires your human capital to grow. It requires your legal team to grow. Did you know that?
Of course. Well,
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer, so in
Yeah,
my view, you always need the lawyers.
that's good. And all of a sudden, your facility is too small.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now your
Mm-hmm.
marketing budget goes out of whack. So the
Mm-hmm.
scale there's a lot of moving parts that will happen. And a lot of times it's one of those moving parts that causes us to go bankrupt.
So let's go back. And you said, okay, there is no get rich quick.
No.
Not for everybody. I mean, those are anomalies that we
Well, right,
see.
those are numbers. You get lucky. Everybody gets lucky. Somebody wins the lottery, right?
Right. Somebody got lucky, and the internet makes it seem like it's happening every day, and it's
Right.
not. And the other thing is, you don't necessarily have to be in STEM.
Right.
And do you have to be under 30 years old? Is the
No.
success for only those who are under 30? Is my time up?
Felice, my first company, I started when I was 50. I was 50 years old when I started Hardy Bottling. And I sold it when I was 54 and 3/4.
But nobody's counting.
Somebody's counting, okay? And then I started my transloading business when I was 51. It was going at the same time as Hardy. Started expanding when I was 55. And we're not going to talk about how old I was last year when I sold it. Let's assume
No,
that
ma'am.
let's assume I went back to 30. No, I went back to
Yes.
30. Okay. Uh, but 10 years later, I sold that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, for
Yeah.
a lot of money.
So it's
So
not
all of
just
my
for.
companies, I will tell you the truthful. It's really hard for. I can see the 20-year-olds making great strides because they're staying at home with mom and dad. Okay, the ideal time for most women to start a business. I'm gonna start there first. Okay, is when your kids are a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that was ideal. Now I still at 50, I had my son was at home. He was 12 years old, and it was tough for him. But I brought him to work. Okay, he would come
Mm-hmm.
to work with me, and he would sit at the table, and he just loved being there with me at the
Mm-hmm.
office when he wasn't at
Mm-hmm.
school. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but if you've got the responsibilities of home and because when you start your own business, it's a 7 by 24 responsibility and commitment. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if you're going to grow a company that's going to be a 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 million company, uh, get ready to invest a lot of hours per day. And
Mm-hmm.
when you decide you want 6 kids and you want to be in business, those two things don't go together. Okay.
So probably for women, and especially women of color,
Yeah.
probably we won't do this until we're in our 40s
That's exactly.
or
That's when
yeah.
you're gonna do it in your 40s. You're not doing it, and I'm gonna tell you, your patience is better, your maturity and experience, all that experience that you had with corporate America when you're going to professional, you know how to buy, you got contacts. See, what you should do from 20 to 40 is that I talked about that network. I talked
Mm-hmm.
about building your volunteering. Volunteer while you're with corporate America. Go ahead and build
Mm-hmm.
that network. Save your money. Take some additional training courses, okay?
Mm-hmm.
By the time you're in the 40s, you checked all the boxes that you need to be successful. Take some
Mm-hmm.
legal courses. You're not trying to be a lawyer, but Felice, they need to know how to talk to you. They need to know how
Mm-hmm.
to talk to lawyers. They need to know how to talk to their CPAs.
Mm-hmm.
The accountant is not there with you every day at the office.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to know
Mm-hmm.
how to talk to the bank. So from
Yes.
20, from 20 to 40, I would suggest that you take those courses using your company's tuition reimbursement program.
Yes.
By the time you're
Yes.
40, you've got the maturity. You're not running home trying to cook a meal. You're not running the kids to soccer practice. You're not doing all those things that takes all your time. You can now live that 7 by 24 life.
Yes.
You could not
Yes.
live it before. So my
Yes.
belief is that the ideal time to start your own business is over 40.
Yes. And there are a lot of our listeners who will appreciate that. We have listeners who run the gamut in terms of age, but I do notice that there's this belief that once you cross that 30 line, and don't even talk about the 40 line, it's
Right.
just all hope. It's just you may as well throw in your towel and just resign yourself to this job for the next 20 years and hope you get a pension and you can retire from that. And I'm going, I don't know, is that really? That doesn't sit well with me, but that's, I think because what we see in the media,
Yeah.
that's what people believe. In all these magazines, it's 40 under 40.
Well, let me give you an example. When you look at that 20, 30-year age group, you're probably talking technology company and software.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's one type of business. But you got to eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to build new buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, all the things that it takes to live. You got to own lawn services. Uh, there's so many types of businesses that, yes, there is an age group that at 20 and 30, you're going to think about the new app. You're going to think about the new software program. But what about the other 99% of the businesses?
Yes.
See, they're only talking about a very small percentage of the business opportunities that are out there.
And everybody's rushing to that. So
Everybody,
there's a world out there waiting for you.
that's right. That's right. I mean,
Yes.
who's managed your HVAC when your air conditioning breaks?
Yeah.
How many 20-year-olds have you seen come fix it?
Yeah.
I
None.
haven't seen any 20-year-olds that own the company. What happens when
None.
your plumbing goes bad? What
Yeah.
happens when a tree service needs to happen?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
those are
Yeah.
not 20 and 30-year-olds.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. I heard some investment advice from Warren Buffett, and he talked about investing in sort of those essential things like lumber,
there you go.
oil, right? Things we know that we need
And I
and we
have.
need it forever.
That's exactly. I tell people looking for jobs and professionals. I said nursing's gonna never go away. Okay, there's not a 20, 30-year-old decision. You
Mm-hmm.
decide to be a nurse at 40. I promise you, they'll snatch you up right now.
Yeah.
Okay, uh, those things are never gonna go away.
Yeah.
So there
Yeah.
is those essential things, as you call it, that you need to invest in. But what you do, I was at a Federal Reserve meeting. This presentation happened about 3 years ago, and they were there to advise entrepreneurs on what should they look at, what areas should they look at expanding their business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you, in that room, there's probably only two entrepreneurs under 40. Only probably
Mm-hmm.
two out of about
Mm-hmm.
30. So if that's the case, they're not showing up in big numbers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But what they said was, they said the wealth in this country, if you look at the 50-year-old and up, they control over 99% of the wealth. Over 99% of the wealth in this country is controlled by people 50-year-olds and up. And the reason I wanted to say that, Felice, is that if you're looking at a service or an entrepreneur opportunity, they said find something that people that are 50 and up needs or wants, and they can afford to buy it. They,
Yes.
they said take it. They said these 20 and 30-year-olds can't afford this stuff. They've got student debt. But the 50-year-olds already paid for their house, got money in the bank. So they said when they need insoles in their shoes, they don't care if those insoles cost $400 as long as they make them feel better.
Well, that's funny you say that. I was just speaking to another entrepreneur who developed mattresses. He's a award-winning chiropractor and developed this line of mattresses and pillows. But they're expensive. They're not cheap,
Right, right,
right? They're not inexpensive. These are $20,000 mattresses.
right.
$40,000 mattresses. So he said, I said, have you thought? Because he said, well, pass this out to your friends and this and that. And I said, well, I could tell you that a lot of my friends are not going to want to spend $40,000 on a mattress. It's just not where they're at right
Right, right, right,
now.
right.
Maybe, and he's sitting like right in like Beverly Hills. And I understand there's some folks in Beverly Hills, yes,
They weren't
right?
bragging
But
about
what about Florida? What
it. Right.
about, you
That's
got all
exactly.
the retirees going to Florida and they're cash heavy
And if
because
they're
they
back,
sold their big house.
right up north, and so if I'm telling you, if their back hurts, they're going to spend the $40,000.
In a heartbeat. Why?
And
Because they're not driving the fancy car. They're not in. The
no.
only thing they're worried about is staying warm, sleeping good, being comfortable with those $400 insoles.
And what are they going to eat tomorrow?
We're
What
gonna eat
restaurant are they
tomorrow.
going to eat tomorrow? That's exactly. Where they're
So
going to go to
why
vacation.
don't you set up shop, do a pop up in Miami?
But you
See what's
see,
happening in Fort Lauderdale.
but you see the target market. I'm telling you, the target market are the people who has net worth. So you look at the opportunity when these young people want to go do the apps and all this stuff. That 40-year-old is saying what you said. What is essential? Number one. Number two, how do I build a better mousetrap? Three, how do I deliver better customer service? How do I make sure Felicia loves me so that when she thinks about me and she thinks about this service, she's going to always call me? Young people don't think about service. They don't even want you to call them. They say email them or text them. You know what? That 50-year-old and up wants you to call them on the phone because they want somebody to talk to. Okay.
Yes. They
And
want you to call them. They want customer service. They
they
want to
want customer
call.
service.
They want
Yeah.
to thank you. Because I want to call and I want to
Well,
thank you
thank you.
card.
They won't thank you. Okay. And so when you look at that 40-year-old and up, they get it.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
understand that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. All right. So we have again run out of time, but this has been a fabulous conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, this was part 2 of a 2-part series on what it takes to be a transformational leader and successful entrepreneur. For this discussion, I was joined by our very special guest that just blessed us with all types of jewels, Miss Carolyn Hardy. And you can find Miss Hardy at, where can we find you?
You can find me at www.hardybeverages.com.
And tell us about that book.
I have 3 books. One is called Look Up, 5 Principles of Intentional Leadership. And one's called Step Out, Bold Moves for Business Growth. And the third one is Impossible Turn Possible.
I'm buying all 3. I encourage everybody else to do the same.
Go on Amazon.
Again, once again, thank you for tuning in here to another episode of Beauty Not Boundaries. I'm your host, Felice. Please be sure to follow us on IG at Beauty Not Boundaries. Until next time, stay beautiful.
Thanks, Felice.
All right.